Hi, my name is Josh Moran, and welcome to the Financial Aid System of Tennessee. This video covers quality point and quality hour submission to FAST, which we refer to as the dual enrollment end of term process. This is the fourth DEG video covering the 25-26 DEG updates. If you haven't watched the previous three yet, it might be helpful to understand some of the things that we'll talk about in this and later videos. I'll also mention that all the content for these videos are also covered in the user guide. It's available in the FAST system accordion located in the help menu in FAST. So, end of term reporting for DEG. Starting 25-26, you'll be required to submit information to calculate a DEG GPA in the FAST system. To calculate this value, we require you to submit the quality points and quality hours that you would use to calculate the DEG GPA for that term. This information will then be used by FAST to determine the student's continuing eligibility as far as meeting the DEG GPA requirement. And let me say, end of term information is required to be submitted each term for any student paid DEG by your institution for any amount greater than 0 that term. And you are only required to submit information used to calculate a GPA for coursework taken at your institution. You did not submit another school's quality points and quality hours for coursework taken at another school. They submit their own quality points and quality hours. Also, it's worth keeping in mind that if you paid a student and then totally refunded money for that term, that also will remove the GPA submission requirement that term for that student. Now, in order to submit end of term information, we've created 3 ways to submit it to FAST. You can use just one method that you just really like, or you can use a combination of methods based on whatever suits the situation best. There is no difference in where you submit this end of term information. The different methods are there just for your convenience. And regardless of where you submit end of term information, you'll always have the same 2 options. Either you submit quality points and quality hours for that term, or you'll have the option of submitting what we call a no grade reason. A no grade reason also satisfies the end of term requirement for that student, and currently we have 2 options available to you. First, no grades. You would use this reason when no quality points or quality hours are assigned to any of the courses the student enrolled in that term. For example, a class that's not assigned a letter grade and the student only gets a completion value or a satisfactory for that course. The second no grade reason is continuing. You would use this option for courses that span 2 or more terms before a grade is assigned. This option is different from no grade reasons because it has the expectation that the student's record for this term will be updated at a later point when the course is graded. And let me bring up an important point about grades for terms that occurred prior to academic year 25-26. These would be your returning students for this fall. You are not required to submit grades for any term that occurred prior to 25-26. You may choose to do so if you wish, but we are not requiring that you do so. We do give you the option to update grades for these terms on a student-by-student basis in case the student needs those grades to maintain the DEG GPA requirement. For example, if I had a student who attended college last year, a DEG student who attended college last year in 24-25, they did really well academically, they returned this fall but have a bad semester. If I'm only using those fall grades to calculate a DEG GPA, they would lose eligibility at that institution type. However, If I go back and add grades for 24-25, it may allow that student to maintain that GPA requirement. So uh, we give you the option to enter old grades. Certainly not a requirement to do so. You may choose to do so through an upload process. Hopefully it's relatively easy for you to do that. That way you can rely that the FAST GPA is an accurate representation of their entire DEG history, but you don't necessarily need to. Okay, let's talk about the first method of submitting end-of-term information for DEG, and that's going to be the DEG end-of-term roster. This is a new roster to FAST. You can access it through the rosters and go to DEG EOT roster. Should be similar to other rosters that you've accessed inside of FAST. To go to a particular term, you're going to select an academic year. Your institution should be selected for you. You're going to select a term, and you have an additional drop down over here for status. And what this is going to allow you to do is filter your list by these different 4 options. The all option is going to give you all students with a paid or ready to pay status from your institution only. So you're going to use this option to see all your paid students that term. The next option for no grade reason displays all the students who your institution has previously submitted a no grade reason for this term. You can use this option when you're ready to update students from continuing to and ready to go through and submit their final quality points and quality hours. You can also choose the outstanding option, and what that's going to do is give you just those students who have not submitted either quality points and quality hours or no grade reason for that term. The last option, submitted, displays all the students who you previously submitted end of term information, and we're giving you this option in case you need to update values for a student or you wish to audit your submission for that term. Once you've got your parameters filled out, you're going to select the end of term student roster. I'll come back and talk about this download roster button later when we talk about the batch process. So here's the end of term roster. Relatively simple. You have fields over here for quality points and quality hours, and that's where you're going to enter that information and then save to submit that information for a student. Or you have the option to enter your no grade reason, and like I said earlier, it's an either or. You submit one or the other. You can't submit both for a student. The validation on this page is going to keep you from doing that. And I do want to make an important note about this roster. Though they're laid out very similarly to the verification or certification rosters, one important difference about the end of term student roster is that you can submit a student's or update a student's value on this page as many times as you need to for a particular semester. For example, if you find that you've made an error or a grade has since been updated since you originally submitted, all you need to do is come back to this page, re-enter that information, and save. There is no requirement similar to verification or certification that you have to go and reset something for that student. And the same thing is true about the batch process, and we'll talk about that later. So that's it for this roster. At the end of the semester, or once grades have started posted for a particular term, you come here. All your students that you've paid that semester should be located on this roster. You go through, submit quality points and quality hours, or if they fall into one of those situations where you need to instead submit a no grade reason, you'll submit that here, save. That updates that student's FAST DEG GPA and will update their eligibility if necessary. Hopefully that's simple, not too bad. We felt bad about adding another end of term process for y'all to do, but we try to keep it as simple as possible. So now let's talk about the roster upload process. Uh, this is a new batch process that we've created for end of term. We wanted to come up with as many options to hopefully keep it as simple as possible. This batch process, though, is slightly different from the other certification process inside of FAST. For this one, we decided to go with an Excel file format. If you're familiar with the TELS grade classification upload process, very similar to that. We wanted to do it that way for this process to make it more user-friendly and more easily accessible by schools with limited IT resources. For example, let's go through and create a file. Your menu is going to be slightly different from mine. Yours is going to be located in System and Uploads. Mine is Uploads and DEG End of Term Upload. But don't let that throw you off. Same place as you'll see the TELS grid upload process. So let's assume that you don't have any IT resources to create a process to generate that end of term file for you. It's not absolutely necessary. You can still use this without any type of IT or functional tech resources. What you're going to do is come here, select the year, your institution will be populated for you, and the term that you want to create an upload file for. You're going to click this download file, and just a note, earlier while on the student roster, I said I'll come back and talk about that button. That button on the student roster is the same as this one. It's just you can generate this file from either location, but they are exactly the same. Once that file comes through, you're going to open it up. And what this does is generate an Excel file for you. It's going to look exactly like this. So if I don't have any IT resources, I generate this file. I can then enter values that are necessary to calculate the GPA for this student. If I have a no grade reason, the instructions are populated at the top of the Excel sheet. It's going to tell you exactly what to put in for those. If it was a no grade reason, I'm going to put 1. If it was instead continued, I'd update it and put 2. Then using this file, I would go through whatever system you're using at your school, fill it out for all of these students. Great thing about DEG, they all are mostly A's and B students, right? I would then complete this file, save it, and once I'm done and ready to submit it inside the system, all that I would do is come back here and do the same thing inside of the end of term upload box. I hit the browser key and it's going to give me the option to go through and select where I've saved that file. Once I've done that, I'll click the upload file button. It'll be uploaded into FAST. It may take a little bit of time to process, especially if other things are going on inside the system, but I would expect it to be uploaded, processed, and have your students updated in case any of them went unsatisfactory inside of FAST within 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes if stuff's running slowly. When you're ready to review it, you don't necessarily have to wait on this page. What you're going to do is go back to that uploads page and go to your upload history. And that's going to give you a record similar to that file request menu that's used by certification, where you can both view your file and any errors that may have existed for that student, right? So that's it. You are not necessarily required to have IT resources to use this upload process. You can manually fill it out. You don't get the same benefit as having a batch process, but hopefully this gives you an option, makes your life a little bit easier. Now, let's talk about if you do have IT support or a functional tech that can either use a reporting tool or some other method to pull this information outside of or from your system and then upload it into FAST. So let me say it here. You're not required to upload or download this end of term file uh, in order to upload something. You can generate it completely out of your home system, upload it into FAST. If you're wanting to go through and try that out, we have a document located in the FAST Help menu uh, in the File Layouts and Certification and Batch Upload section called the DEG EOT upload file. And that contains all the details that you need to generate this file. I'll mention one other thing as well. We went with the Excel format. Hopefully it makes it easier for everyone involved to go through and create an end-of-term file, upload it into FAST. One note about using Excel, we had to put a lot of protections in place. Sometimes, bad actors can upload malicious things inside of an Excel file. So what we have on the end of term information document inside the FAST menu lays out everything that can be included in this file, including the header names, content, and the value ranges for all these fields. And make sure that you keep to that. What you want to avoid is adding anything extra to the Excel sheet, anything that's outside of quality hours, quality points, or no grade reason could trigger a security response when you try to upload that file, which would then cause your entire file to be rejected and not processed at all. So I bring it up. One of the things that I would keep in mind, and if I was doing it myself out of school, I might go through and add a cell where I could then calculate a GPA for those students just to double check against my system. And that's fine to do. You can do that, and certainly it's a pretty good idea just to check yourself before you upload it, but you have to make sure to delete that. If our upload process sees any type of formula, function, anything additional outside of what we specify should be in this file, you run the risk of having your whole file rejected. And that's the upload process. We tried to keep it as simple as possible. We know that those other batch processes, they take a lot of effort to create them. Hopefully this is simple. If you have any ideas or suggestions about this file, let us know. Certainly want to make it as easy as a process, or as easy of a process as we can for you. So let's talk about the last method, and this would be manually editing any previously submitted end of term information via the DEG scholarship page. So what I'm going to do is navigate over to the dual enrollment page for this current academic year, and I'm going to go to the GPA history button. Clicking on that is going to bring up the GPA history just for this student. And I want to point out that we have it separated out into a 2 and 4 year tab and a TCAT tab. So those GPAs are kept completely separate from each other on there. They don't impact each other, so we've separated them out into 2 tabs. And from this page, I can see there's been full information submitted for this student. I can go through, edit that information just like I would on the student roster, including updating a no grade reason for that term. Once I've made my updates, I save, close, and that's going to update the DEG GPA. If it causes an eligibility status change, you would then see that on that student's record. And that's it for end of term. Hopefully it's not that bad. We wanted to keep it as simple as possible, but always if you have any suggestions or any comments about it, let us know, and hopefully we can make those changes. Otherwise, thank you, and I hope you all have a good day. We've got one more video for release. Next video will be on the new reports.